And this moments ago, we saw Dwayne Wade very, very unhappy.
Well, he was upset about not this coming play, but the one that just happened. He thought that Prince fouled him on the shot. Then he makes the steal, throws up the runner. Nothing happened there, but he goes to the referee, and Van Gundy, you see, holding him back. He was upset. He felt that Tayshaun Prince bumped him with his body on that jump shot. And Doug, as you mentioned during the timeout, Prince with those long arms can give him some cushion and stay off him and still challenge that shot.
And he doesn't leave his feet until Wade goes up and then he challenges it. So very rarely will you see Prince get caught with a pump fake. Here's the set play. Larry Brown loves to do it out of timeout. He loves to set up a lob or a backdoor. That's a given when you coach against him. Coming out of timeout, you cannot let that happen.
So Detroit up 26-25. Christian Laettner has come on for the first time. Wade changed his mind. This is Butler trying to get it down low to O'Neal. And back come the Pistons. Lindsey Hunter has checked in. Hunter and Billups at the guards. McDyess with Ben Wallace and Prince on the front line. Second quarter just underway. That's a kick ball, last touch by the Heat.
Now Billups will look to score more. He started that first quarter out, Steve, really looking to give the ball up, get everybody involved. He only took 2 shots. When Rip Hamilton sits down and Lindsey Hunter's out there with him, now they'll run Billups off all those screens. He'll look to shoot the ball more.
And that's the balance that he and Larry Brown have come to realize together. Brown, of course, more of a pass-first coach, and Hunter misses the jumper. Billups has always been a very offensive-minded player. They've come to a really nice understanding of how Billups should play the game.
Here is Rasheed Butler for 3. Good hustle by Wade. Trying to dribble out of traffic. And he's tripped up. The foul on Billups. Let's check in with David Aldridge. David?
Well, yeah, Steve was just mentioning the relationship between Chauncey Billups and Larry Brown that has evolved over the last couple of years. Billups says that there are nights where he goes home and he's mad at his coach, but that he understands that Larry Brown's done more for his career than anyone that he's ever played for. He does like to shoot that 3 in transition, though, guys. And he said one time when Larry yelled at him about it, he came back and said, "Hey, Larry, you yell and scream. I don't ask you to change who you are. Don't ask me to change who I am."
And Chauncey Billups, you recall, at the start of the series against Indiana, was looking to set people up, was not looking for the shot, and came up with high assist totals.
But then in the final 3 games of that series that Detroit won, he started to turn on the offense, went to the line 24 times in those last 3 games. So he understands when his team needs him to be aggressive and when not to be.
Miscommunication on that pass off the turnover. It comes back to Miami.
Lindsey's always been more of a scorer. I remember when I coached him in Detroit, I actually played him as a 2 guard. Grant Hill was my point guard. But Lindsey, I thought at that point in time, was the best guy in the league at guarding the ball, pressuring the point guard. He's in there one reason right now, that's to make Dwayne Wade's life miserable.
And here's O'Neal getting position. Shaq is 5 of 6 from the field. He was a question mark as to whether he would play tonight. It was a last-minute decision. Shaq dressed late, came out with the team for the pregame warm-up. A defensive 3-second violation, which will lead to a technical foul. And Shaquille hit his first 4 shots to get things underway.
Well, Doug, you talked about how Larry Brown's going to try to mix up the defense. You see this time Ben Wallace fronts Shaquille O'Neal. Almost impossible to do unless you have weak side help coming over. Looked like McDyess was a little bit late, and that's all it takes. That's a slam for O'Neal.
And Chauncey Billups uncharacteristically misses on that technical free throw.
Well, one of the keys when you front the post is you got to put all kinds of pressure on the passer. You cannot give him a space to throw that ball over the top, and that's really what happened on the last possession. Nobody pressured the passer, made the easy play.
Oh, Billups fired one up as Laettner came over, and it's deflected out of bounds. Last touch by Miami, so Detroit maintains possession.
You know, the game is starting to settle in now. What we expected early in the game, the first 5 minutes, it was like 17-15 or whatever. Now all of a sudden, guys are getting acclimated. Marv, it's a new series, the first game, the speed of players, the strength, where they like to get. You start getting a feel for the game.
And here's Billups off the mark.
It's interesting, Doug, on that point yesterday with Phoenix and San Antonio, it was the opposite. The first 5 minutes, it was about 10-4, and then all of a sudden, the Suns got into character and started playing and started scoring.
O'Neal with with the save as it deflected off one of the Pistons.
Well, Shaquille O'Neal loves to pass the basketball. He's a very unselfish player. You see the little things that Ben Wallace does. He deflects passes. That time he's guarding Shaq. He gets his hand up, knocks the pass down. We saw him steal one with Rasheed Butler. We saw him get a shot block, an offensive rebound. He does not have a point in this game, but yet he's such a vital part of what Detroit does.
And the poor guy in the front row saw his life flash before him, and Shaq landed in his lap.
Damon Jones attempting that long three. Carlos Arroyo is back, coming on for Lindsey Hunter. Miami up by one. Here's Ben Wallace off a beautiful look-away pass from Carlos Arroyo.
See, that's the mobility I was talking about with Shaq. He was back there, and normally he comes over. You can see he didn't have the lateral movement to make that slide. And as the game goes on again, I expect Detroit to try to get him involved with all kinds of defensive plays to keep him moving on that floor.
Timeout is called by Miami. Carlos Arroyo grew up in Puerto Rico, South Florida, his off-season home. He played at Florida International. Gorgeous pass for Ben Wallace from Arroyo.
Only one other franchise has ever accomplished this, the Lakers. And I recognize that '89 Laker team. I played for the Suns. That was my rookie year. We lost the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th games in a row to the Lakers. They actually started 11-0 and then got swept by Detroit in the finals.
Well, that's when Pat Riley had a little bit of a training camp in between games because he had so much time, and Byron Scott blew out a hamstring, and then Magic Johnson did so in game one, and Chuck Daly, who's here tonight as well, won his first championship with the Detroit Pistons.
Eddie Jones with the bucket. Miami now leads 29-28. I believe Laker players refer to that training camp as boot camp between games. 8.5 remaining in this first half. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, Doug Collins, Craig Sager, David Aldridge. Here in Miami, the sweeping hook by Ben Wallace with the shot clock running down.
Why was Haslam up so tight on Ben Wallace? Why wasn't he backed all the way in the lane? Because you know Ben's not going to shoot that shot, but he will take that ball off the drive. You got to know who you're playing. If that's Rasheed Wallace crowding, Ben Wallace, give him some space.
Pistons lead by one as O'Neal makes his move. A defensive 3-second violation is called on the Pistons, so Miami will shoot the technical.
Well, Doug, here's what you're talking about. If you back off him and make him shoot, he's probably not going to make the shot, but he can do this. He can get to the rim and at least put it up onto the rim, and if he doesn't make it, it creates an offensive rebounding opportunity for McDyess. So I agree, back off, know who you're playing. That's one of the fundamental rules on defense.
And both clubs not able to take advantage of the technical foul shot off the defensive 3-second call. Remember, Ben Wallace had that huge game one in the series against Indiana, 21 points, 15 rebounds. O'Neal draws the foul.
Well, he caught that ball so deep in the lane. When he gets it there, you have to take the foul. And actually, Detroit has 24 fouls now in this series with Eldon Campbell. You've got McDyess, Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace. And he catches that ball at the dotted line. Look where he is. That is tough to stop. You're actually going to have to take the foul. Now, let's see how he's shooting free throws, Steve. I have a feeling he's taken a lot of free throws over the last 8 or 9 days with that leg. You know, sometimes when you don't get the run, you get out and shoot. We'll see if he can step up to the line and make some free throws.
And in 6 playoff games, Shaq 28 of 57, 49% at the line.
Well, it's almost like he and Ben Wallace are just going to counteract each other here with the free throw shooting, although Shaq should get there more often. But what happens, and this happens all the time, so many lane violations when O'Neal's at the line. But with both Wallace and Shaq, even though they get to the line and miss, what it does for their teams, and you see the numbers, atrocious for each of them, but it allows each team's defense to get back and set up in the half court. And that's why both are ranked in the top 5 in field goal percentage defense. They get back, they get set up, they make it awfully difficult to score.
And they get you in the penalty early, too. All of a sudden you start fouling. Now your best free throws start shooting at the end of the quarters.
Alonzo Mourning getting set to check back in. He's over at the scorer's table, then walks over to chat with Stan Van Gundy. Here is McDyess with a beautiful turnaround, and Antonio McDyess has been a major factor off the bench, providing much energy, 20 minutes a game in the postseason, averaging 8 points, 5 rebounds.
And what a great story. I mean, he's maybe one of the classiest men in the NBA. To see him bounce back and play so well.
Oh, Shaquille O'Neal backing his way on Ben Wallace.
Well, it's one thing to have the philosophy that you're not going to double, but it's another not to help at all when a guy's got the ball 5 feet from the hole. At that point, you have to go, you have to react as a defense and help your teammate out.
Shaq 6 of 7 from the field. He has 13 points. Hamilton is open. It's tipped by McDyess and carries out of bounds. So the ball back to Miami.
Well, you see Ben Wallace trying to play Shaq one-on-one. Look at the size disadvantage for Wallace. And, you know, he can't do anything. He's going to dribble 3 times. At some point, the defense has to come in and help, but nobody on Detroit comes. I think they're so conditioned to saying, all right, we're going to play him one-on-one and not let other people beat us, but you've got to react to that.
And about 6'9", 240 pounds going up against Shaq at 7'1", 300 plus. Mourning has returned, coming on for O'Neal. Here is Wade getting inside. He was bothered from behind by Prince. Billups with the hesitation. Jones able to cut him off, but Billups right back, hits over Damon Jones.
Mark, you can already see in this series, Dwayne Wade is finding how difficult it is to get inside and score against this Detroit Piston defense. 2 of 8 from the floor. A lot of those baskets he was scoring against Washington, New Jersey. All of his shots are contested in this series.
It's amazing. Both teams shooting 52%. Only one club actually shot 40% during the 3 games that they met during the regular season. That was Miami back in December.
Here's Eddie Jones for 3. Miami 35, Detroit 34. How about Eddie Jones with 5 of 5 from the field and 12 points. Just under 6 minutes remaining in this first half. Miami has a 1-point lead. Shot clock down to 3. Billups changes his shot, scores in the foul. It will count the foul on Mourning. What a sensational shot by Chauncey Billups.
That is sheer strength. The ability to get in the lane, take that bump, concentrate, get the foul, and the score. What a nice play by Chauncey Billups.
Continue tomorrow on ESPN. Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals between the Suns and the Spurs. Coverage begins with the NBA Draft Lottery at 8:30 Eastern Time. Game 1 yesterday. Spurs hitting 16 of 22 in the 4th quarter, scoring 43 points, the most in any quarter all season. And then Wednesday, we'll be back with you from Miami right here on TNT. Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Pistons and the Heat. Coverage starting 8 o'clock Eastern Time with the TNT NBA pregame show presented by Nokia. Dwayne Wade just 2 of 8 from the field. Being played by Tayshaun Prince. Now Hamilton switched off. Wade with some room but cannot hit. Kept alive by Haslam. Keon Dooling is back, so Dooling and Wade in the backcourt. Eddie Jones with Mourning and Haslam up front. Here's Mourning getting inside. Nice pass from Eddie Jones.
You know, both teams love to run that play where they curl either at Eddie Jones or rip Hamilton in. The big man steps up to help, and that guy's slashing to the basket. If you make that pass, you can get a high percentage shot that time. Perfect execution. Zoe gets the dunk.
We saw that so often with Indiana, with Reggie Miller making that same curl, that same pass to Jermaine O'Neal.
Mourning came over, altered the shot. Rasheed Wallace, who just returned, able to hit. Rasheed has hit 3 from downtown. He's 4 of 4 overall and leads the Pistons with 11. Dooling facing some pressure from Billups.
And Dwayne Wade's seen 4 different players here early in the game, and everybody gives him a different look. Now it's Wade, now it's Hamilton. He's seen Billups, he's seen Lindsey Hunter. 2 of 10 from the floor, not getting any of those easy scores he got. They're keeping him and making him a jump shooter, Steve. They're not letting him get to the front of the rim.
Right, he looks a little out of character. Now, there was a turnaround 15-foot jump hook. That's not his shot.
Wallace not able to hit. Back comes Eddie Jones. Haslam, he's been hesitant to shoot. Has that splint on the middle finger of his left hand, which has been on shooting hand. That pass off the mark. Now Dueling regroups. Eddie Jones coming off the screen. Rasheed Wallace on the rebound.
Game is starting to take on the pace that we thought from the beginning, isn't it, Doug?
Yep. Field goals getting harder to come by as the minutes go on.
Here is Prince. And the long rebound fielded by Wade. Going back to the regular season with Detroit taking 2 of 3 against Miami, Wade had one superb game as he goes behind the back and is not able to put it down. He had his first career triple-double, but in the other 2 games he fouled out and had a frustrating time, primarily against Tayshaun Prince. Here's Billups for 3. Chauncey Billups from deep in the corner.
See, Dwayne Wade fell down on that drive, did not get up. So when Rip Hamilton came down the floor, when he penetrated, nobody guarding Chauncey Billups. So when you go down in a game like this, you have got to get up and sprint back. That cost him 3 points.
That's that power play at the other end, right?
Yes.
The 5-on-4 advantage.
And Wade is fouled by Billups. Dwayne Wade started out hitting 2 of his first 4. He has missed his last 7 shots. Timeout taken. 2:34 left in this first half. Detroit by 5. City crowd better than 20,000 for game 1 of this Eastern Conference Finals series. And this the hottest ticket in town. Gloria Estefan, LL Cool J, Miami Heat season ticket holder Jimmy Buffett, Clarence Clemens of the E Street Band fame, and Jamie Foxx, Academy Award winner, has been a regular here at Courtside. With 2:34 left in this first half, Marv Albert, Doug Collins, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager, David Aldridge, cast of thousands. And Detroit up 42-37. And here is Wade trying to get into it. Dwayne Wade is now 2 for 12. Billups for 3. Nice tip by Ben Wallace, and Prince looks to set up. Shaq comes out to greet Rasheed, who puts the move on, rebounded by Eddie Jones. And here comes Dueling. He has Wade on the wing. Dueling takes the shot and hits.
Well, he's been a pleasant surprise off the bench in the playoffs. His energy always has been a streaky shooter. He was hurt his whole time with the Clippers, has come here, grew up in this area, and has found a home here coming off the bench for the Miami Heat.
Shooting 61% from the field over the first 8 playoff games. Prince rebounded by Haslam. Miami with the ball down by 3. Dueling penetrates, finds O'Neal. Crowd looking for a foul as Ben Wallace came over to help. Bob Delaney says no, he got all ball. Here the crowd reacting.
They want to get Shaq involved in a pick and roll here. Actually, Billups goes away from the screen and finds Rip Hamilton.
Coming up on 1 minute left in the first half. Eddie Jones putting moves on Hamilton, and a foul on Hamilton.
I thought that foul very easily could have gone on Eddie Jones. Looked like he got away with a push with that left arm.
That's the 4th team foul on the Pistons. Let's go over to Craig.
Well, the Miami Heat very concerned about keeping Shaq's right thigh loose. He is wearing those thigh pads he borrowed from the Miami Dolphins, and when he comes out of the game, they put heat pads on. Obviously, at halftime, he could use the rest, but a big concern. He needs to rest it, but he needs to keep it warm and loose.
All right, Craig. Shaq played 15 minutes in this first half, hitting 6 of 8 from the field. Eddie Jones! Quick move by Jones. And Miami is within one. Jones 6 of 7 from the field. He has 14 points. Here's Hamilton on the curl. Rejected. O'Neal. Detroit gets back. Wade with a nice pass. Haslam is stripped. Recovered by Eddie Jones. Detroit looking for a backcourt violation.
Off the smart play there, Eddie Jones was in and he threw the ball to Shaq. Had he thrown it back the other way, it probably won a backcourt violation.
They're on their feet here in Miami. Good run by the Heat to move within one. Here's Wade twisting the score. Coming up on 10 seconds left in the first half. Miami with a 6-0 run, leading by one. Prince with the backdoor pass. Ben Wallace had the shot tipped, but it's put home. Detroit by one. Wallace on the recovery. He has 6 points. Final seconds of the half. Here's Dooling looking for the shot. Takes to the rim. And that will do it for this first half. We saw end-to-end action with the Pistons leading by as many as 13 lead changes. And at halftime, they have a 1-point lead. Rasheed Wallace, high man for Detroit with 11. He hit 3 from downtown. Eddie Jones, 6 of 7, 14 points. Shaquille O'Neal, a question mark in terms of playing tonight, 6 of 8 for 13 points. Let's go to David Aldridge with Chauncey Billups.
Chauncey, everything we expected out of these two teams in the first half. Looked like you guys had the upper hand there for most of the half.
Well, I think it went back and forth a little bit, but it's everything we expected. It's going to be a fun series to watch.
Dwayne Wade is 2 for 12 in the first half. What do you think the effect has been of having so many different guys guard him?
Well, I mean, you just got to change up on him. He's such a phenomenal athlete that, if he get used to something and you don't take him away from his sweet spots, he's going to kill you. But we guard him so many different ways, it's going to take him a while to get used to that.
You weren't surprised to see Shaq out there?
Oh, no. We expected Shaq to be out there.
All right, Chauncey, thanks very much. We are at the half here at American Airlines Arena. We'll be back after these messages with the Pistons up by 1.